Good morning. So glad to be back. As advertised, I did not post yesterday. Instead, I went and played golf. Uh, I'll talk about that in just a minute. But welcome to Who Am I? Welcome to Who Am I? And what the heck is Who Am I? Well, it's this little show where I talk to myself for up to 2 hours. Talking to you, actually. I'm talking to you, but there's nobody in the room, so I'm just me. And I talk about who we are, where we came from, where we're going, what we're made of, what the Matrix is made of, or how it works. Law of attraction. We talk about the laws of the universe, all the laws of the universe. Law of attraction is one of the 5 laws of the universe. The 5 laws going something like, let's see, they are as follows. Laws of the universe are as follows. You exist. There is nothing you can do to change that. I understand what that means is, you can top yourself. You can off yourself. And all you've done is lost your avatar because you're still here. Your mind's eye is still wide open. You have a front row seat to the parade forever and ever and ever. So, you exist. There's nothing you can do to change that. Everything is here and now. There is nothing you can do to change that. The all are one, and the one is all. There's nothing you can do to change that. What you put out is what you get back. There is nothing you can do to change that. And the 5th one is everything changes. Everything changes. Except for the laws. There's nothing you can do to change that. Oh, where is my water bottle? Very good question. Excuse me. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what we always talk about. I'm going to riff about things. I'm going to try to just, relax and let myself authentically just stream of consciousness. And we're going to talk about all these things. Now, I didn't post yesterday because I played golf, and I just wanted to announce to the world that I made a birdie yesterday. I hit a 3-wood up to a green and made a 50-foot putt for birdie. It was very exciting. So, who am I? Who am I as a powerful creator? Who am I as an eternal energy continuum? And I'm not just energy, I'm information. And what is this information? Well, it's the information of everything I have ever cared about, everything I have ever loved, everything I have ever wanted. I am a continuum of that set of information. That's what you are. So I guess we've answered that question. All right, bye. No, who am I? Who am I? So many ways to ask the question, and it's not just who am I. Although ultimately, every human being has to ask and answer that question for themselves. But it's a bigger question than that too, because it's who are we? Because we are a something. Have you noticed? Have you noticed the commonality that you have with other human beings? Can you feel it? Can you feel our sameness? Can you feel our family of manness? We're a collective species, whether we like it or not. We are a superorganism unto this planet. And as such, we need to be mindful of our larger context. At least when we set up our systems we need to be mindful of our bigger context. You know, the way we've got our system set up right now, everyone is grubbing for advantage. And they don't have a problem with screwing their neighbor in order to channel advantage their direction. And you know what? As a superorganism, that's not a very efficient way to be working. It's sort of like if your liver, was trying to snatch resources from your kidneys or your lungs, or, the whole thing has to be working together, has to be understanding we are one system. And everything we do affects everything else. That's another thing. That has to do with the quantum nature of the pixelated nature of the universe. Why that would matter. Why it would have to do with the pixelated quality of the universe. It's because the whole thing acts like a single field. It does not act, when you do something over here, it affects something over there. It doesn't act like an isolated, it acts like a collective being. And it is, we are a collective being. We are a collective being as humanity, and it gets bigger than that. When it comes to all the way to consciousness and who you are with a capital A, we are a collective being. There is, in a very mysterious and wonderful way, and the way you can see it is you have to do it inside your consciousness. It's an identification issue. It's where your I am went and could see this thing that you were. You recognize there's only one of us here. There is only one of us. You are me. I am you. We're all in this together. Now, that's only part of who you are, because you aren't just a collective being. And it's very interesting that we are a collective being, and it's very important that we keep our eye to that as we're, setting up human systems, communication, transportation, economic, medical, all of our systems. It needs to matter that we are one. And every single one of us is valuable just because they're here, just because you're here. And I know it's hard to see it that way because it's so compelling to see it the other way. And I looked at it the other way for years and years and years and years. That sort of, you don't really like other human beings because look what they do. You can just see what human beings do. They make war on each other. They're filthy and depraved. My goodness, the litany of crimes committed, is just, how could you ever forgive such things? Well, when you come to understand why that behavior happened and what our nature really is and what it would take to stop that sort of wickedness and have us all be better, individually and collectively, when you realize what our design is, and then you go, oh, that's what's happening. We're getting our energy stream crossed. A human being cannot operate on a negative properly. Now, you can. Hitler, I know, it's so funny. Why am I into Hitler? He's such an extreme example of something. But the reason I think I go back to it is because that wasn't just him. And that didn't just happen to other people. That was us. We did that. Human beings did that. And when you come at it from the perspective of all is good, all is well, we are good, all is fine, and yet that happened, Now you have to scratch your head and wonder, well, then what caused that? Because we are good. All of the people involved everywhere, we're all good. So what the heck caused that? Because that obviously was very bad. It was terrible. It was terrible, 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 and we don't want to do that again. And I don't want to live through anything like that. There will be no darkness that will come, that will cross my soul, that would make me feel like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, even if the world falls apart, I'm not going negative. I'm not going negative on my fellow human beings, and I'm not going negative on myself, and I'm not going negative on the world. Because it turns out that all that was all of us doing a very simple thing that we didn't realize was so ghastly powerful. We all went negative and acted. We acted on our anger, we acted on our fear. Collectively, together, pointed negative in a particular direction and moved. And that's all the First and Second World Wars were. That's all any war actually is a group of people agreeing on the us and them paradigm, getting into a negative state of emotion, and then acting on it. That's all war is. And we've got to stop it. But we're not going to just stop it, not unless we come to the place where we really understand who we are. How futile war is. It does not get where we want to go. And so where do we want to go? Well, I have all kinds of ideas about the world that we are stepping into, that we're getting ready to step into. What's going to make the difference between the world that we're in right now and the world we're going to step into? Well, I think there's two big things that's going to I wonder if I just had an idea. There's two things that are going to cause us to step into our true nature and our the future that is our birthright, our heritage, our claim to the universe. Two things. The first thing is going to be what's happening right now, and it's happening all over the planet. It's happening everywhere as people are waking up to our true nature, to the nature of love, to the nature of consciousness, to the nature of our connected nature. You know, there is so much wisdom going on out there. People talking about powerful truths about everything from the law of attraction to just listen to them. Everyone from Wayne Dyer, even your Tony Robbins, and whatever. Everyone is echoing these great truths, and some of them are more focused on bringing you into an active participation, some active place where you're in action in the physical world and in successful action. All of that, any wisdom that teaches you successful action is actually all related to the truth, isn't it? It's all where we're aiming. It's even where I'm aiming, even though I don't talk about action a lot, and I talk about the physical reality from such an oblique direction that you may not realize that my target is also the physical manifested reality. I want the physical manifested reality to morph in a particular way. It's changing all the time, and so what you have the power to do is direct and guide the spirit that it changes on. That's the main thing you have control over. How the spirit unfolds around your person as it involves your person, you have the power to morph the field around you in the direct, or you're not morphing it. The field is morphing, but you can direct the direction of that change. And the direction, how you, what you have control over is the spirit. That's what you have control over. What spirit it moves to. Does it move to the spirit of abundance and cooperation and love and harmony, synchronicity, wisdom, data flow, exciting, connected information that means things? You can move it in whatever spirit you want. It's the spirit you have the control over. And once you've got the spirit dialed in, then you can dial into the specific on the grid where you are. So you can go specific, but I would suggest, highly, highly suggest, that you dial your spirit in firmly first, and don't dial any specific in on any other frequency than the spirit that you've dialed in. Spirit, spirit, spirit. What is she talking about? She must be talking witchy madness. No, I'm not. Spirit's another name, another word for frequency, but it's also another word for spirit means so many things. Spirit could be a word for truth, because like if you're asking, so say you're trying to figure out what happened. What you're actually looking for is a spirit. You're looking for what was the spirit of what happened in that glade that night, It all boils down to, anyway, esoteric. So that's the first thing that's going to get us to the future we're looking for, knowing who we are, a better understanding of who we are and how this divine matrix shakes out around us. That's the first thing. We really need to get to there before we're going to be allowed the second one. Before any and all of us can be trusted with free, clean energy wherever we are. Because that is what is possible. I'm not telling you, and this has been hidden from us. That it's possible is what has been hidden from us. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying this is going to be, although I don't think it's going to be as hard as we think it is, because there's already geniuses out there whose minds want to work this way. And they've come up with some devices that would have helped, that would have started the ball rolling, that would have caused other human beings to realize what was possible. Oh, because it's not just this device that's tapped into source, but it's that one and that one. And look, you can make a device that puts out more energy than it takes to run. You don't have to always fuel it by outward energy that you go dig up and refine and then use to fuel this. We don't have to do it that way. Now, I'm not an engineer, so it's difficult for me, and my eyesight isn't very good either, and I suspect it's going to take some fine-tuning. But, just like Beethoven wrote music and he was deaf, if you were if I was inclined enough, even with my eyesight not being all that great, I could probably come up with something. Whoever, the geniuses out there whose minds want to work this way, they're going to come up with stuff, and they have in the past. And unfortunately, they went straight to the patent office very secretly. Don't want to let anybody know on this secret, because it's going to change my life. It's going to make me rich, and it's going to change the world. No, it's not. You're going to keep it secret, and you're going to sneak off to the patent office, and they're going to crush you like a bug in the name of national security. And you know what? Part of me can almost understand what they're talking about. Because when I look at the darkness of my fellow human beings, it is a little bit troubling to think that that it is possible you could send everybody off into the bushes with all of the clean, free energy that they need, and it'll be interesting. Actually, I think what's going to happen. I don't know. We've got our consciousness has to rise because we have to be trusted to be able to go off and do our own thing. And it's going to be sweet. It's going to be sweet. And we're all still so connected. We are still so connected. I don't think that people are going to go run amok. Yeah, there's going to be, people. It's going to be the stockpiling of weaponry is going to be the problem, Like in Waco, the stockpiling of weaponry is the problem. And then the mindsets locking into one another and law of attraction bringing everything together and it all goes boom. That's what the problem is, in Waco, they stockpiled weaponry and then they focused on this epic battle that they knew was going to go down with the United States government, which of course then it did, because when you know something like that and you're just focused on it, that's what you get. I mean, that is law of attraction. And then the ATF, the government side of the equation, they're focused on the Branch Davidians. And when you watch shows about how that whole thing went down, it's so easy to see that as law of attraction in flagrante, absolutely in flagrant display. As one side focused one way and the other side focused the other way, and that drew them right to each other. Not to other people. It wasn't random. Other pacifists, Quakers, and stuff weren't involved in this. It was only the firearms people. It was only the people focused on, this. And they're the ones who were drawn into it, of course. And it was terrible. It was actually a hideous travesty of a failing from all sides, Really not a very good thing. It involved a lot of things that I would caution us all about as human beings. One of the reasons that whole thing went down is because of superstitious nonsense. People do not understand the reality that surrounds them, how it functions, how frequencies and spirits and what direction you're facing, that you're a binary set, you have an overview, an oversoul. Think of your oversoul as your overview, your broader perspective. But it's not just a perspective, it's you. I emphasize that every day, and I wonder to myself whether I am trying to say that to myself. Because I'm living a personal life too, and as soon as I turn this microphone off every day, I have to go off and just be a regular person like anybody else. I have no secret in on anything. I'm just banging around trying to make my life work, and it is working. I am hot on the heels of solving problems in my life, like the inability of other people around me to get sorted their own trajectory and path in this world. But you know what? I had my issues too in my early 30s. I absolutely had my issues, and my mother helped me. And I just recently found out that my father helped my sister. And now I'm helping my kids. And you know what? We're all going to be just fine. Every one of us. I'm fine. They're fine. Neither here nor there. Sorry, I digress. I just want to assure you that although I speak from my overview a lot of times during this show, I'm just an individual, just like you. And I am eager and interested in watching this whole, what's going to happen to me, how this whole Who Am I project plays out. Because it is my deep desire and intention and my focus and my trajectory to walk in the direction of where we want to go, which is ending up in a place where we understand that we don't have to use fossil fuels in order to properly power our civilization into the sustainable future. That's an interesting thing for human beings to know. They don't necessarily know it. They think thoughts sometimes, thoughts are in and out, but they don't know it with a deep and abiding knowing. And it's really going to, because that's really where our carbon footprint is coming from, people. All the talk about carbon footprint and reducing carbon footprint and blah, 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 carbon, blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff, it's all coming from the way we extract power from this planet. And frankly, we do not need to do that. We just don't need to do that anymore. We haven't really needed to. We could have passed through it gently, almost the same way we passed through our use of whale oil. Use it for a minute, but don't need to keep using it. Do not need to keep using it because there is better sources. But the way we're truly going to power ourselves is source energy. Plugging directly into the source of all things. It is active and alive and popping with enormous energy all around you. Now, a lot of that energy has been thought to be stochastic, which means random, not energy flowing in any kind of pattern, in any kind of way to tap into it. But it isn't completely random. There is a structure to it, to our pixelated space-time. It's a matrix that sees all points connected to all other points in a really interesting way. And the mathematics of it has been done and continues to be expanded. The mathematics that connects the quantum to the cosmological world has been done, was completed. The first stuff was done in 2012. Wouldn't it have been interesting had Sheldon Cooper learned about it? As a matter of fact, I think it would be interesting to go back and write an alternate universe scenario where Sheldon Cooper meets Nassim Haramein and his life changes. That'd be interesting. Anyway, so that mathematics was done back in 2012. And last year, another paper, I don't know what papers they have done between 2012 and 2023. I think they've done numerous papers on everything from the I don't know if they wrote a paper on the calculation of the new radius of the proton. I don't know whether you'd have to write a paper or whether that's just a formula. I don't know. But all this mathematics has been done. And that's important because the mathematics is the roadmap to the technology. The mathematics, if you understand mathematics, it's almost like a method. And once you build the structure of the I don't know how to say this, it's really weird, of the mathematical structure. You didn't make it up, God did. But once you clarify it, you can move within the structure inside and outside and up and down. That's how come Division is you could look at it as both dividing by the denominator, or you could think of it as multiplying by the inverse, or there's all kinds of ways, backwards and forwards and inside and out. It's like this whole structure of understanding that mathematics gives you. And what Nassim did back in 2012 is he unified the quantum world and the cosmological world. What does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. The unification comes down to things like this. The density at the quantum world is really, really high. The density at the cosmological level, so the density of the universe that you see around you, with the stars and the planets and the galaxies and all that, and you take the space and you calculate the relative space between how much space and how much stuff, When you look at the cosmological level, the density is really low. When you look at the density in the center of an atom at the quantum level, you look at the Planck's, the Dirac sea of, whatever, the Planck field inside the atom, the density is really, 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 really high. At the quantum level, density is really high. All the Plancks are touching each other everywhere. As a matter of fact, I believe that this is happening everywhere. There's Plancks that are just jiggling out there, all touching each other, and when they aren't organized, then you see it as space, and when they are organized, you see it as stuff, But when you look at it at the Planck level, at the quantum level, at the level of pixelization, the density is really high, and then when you look at it at the cosmological level, it's really, really low, and nobody could figure out what the connection was between the two. But there has to be a connection. It's all one thing, So Nassim did the math, and it connects actually in a really interesting way. And it turns out it's all spinning, it's all black holes, it's all wormholes of connection, connecting every point with every other point. It's holographic, it's fractal, it's really, really cool. The universe that turns out that we live in is really cool. And the way that it works, the way that it functions, is really cool too. And it's very dependable. You can depend on the way the universe works. It's all operating on energy, frequency, vibration, and you are too. Did you know that you are a transmitter and a receiver? You aren't just an object, a physical object banging around individually in space-time. You are a broadcaster and a receiver, as is everything around you, by the way, broadcasting and receiving to this matrix field that we are all a part of, this living one. By the way, the whole universe is alive. But then the biofield of this planet is especially alive. And then the human morphogenetic field of information on this planet. We are all one with that thing too, and it's alive. And we're broadcasting and receiving transmissions that, your body is just doing it all the time. You are a carnal engine running at almost 100 degrees for your whole life. And that you can read that signature with infrared scanner, or there's all kinds of scanners that can read that emanation. But you're emanating more than that. Your emotions are emanating a frequency, and that frequency is coming from the fact that you have two of you. There is two of you in there. One of you is the you that you know, that you call yourself me. and you're in your physical body, and you were born at a particular time, and you know yourself as that you, that conscious you. One of you is that. But the other one is also you, but it's vibrationally connected to the whole field around you, as well as being you. And it knows everything. It knows everything. And I have come to understand in mathematics how I can trust that I have an inner being that knows everything, vibrationally knows everything. The reason I have that is because the universe is holographic. All of the points of all of the matrix are uploading their information to the whole all the time. Every Planck nano instant, all of the individual points across the matrix are uploading their information up to the whole. But at the same time, the wholeness information, the allness information is downloading back to the individual part every now. And so all of the universe is with you all the time. It really is. Updated. Current. Now. And now is all that exists. There is only now. That's one of the laws of the universe. Did I say that one? If I only said 4, everything is here and now. I think I said it. There's nothing you can do to change that. Everything is here and now. And everything is with you here and now. It's not just now is the only thing that you have. You have no access to the past or the future. You actually have access both to the past and the future because everything is right here and now. Isn't that interesting? You actually have access to your past. You actually have access to the future. And the reason that you have access to everything is because it's all right here and now. What happens is whatever information was in the past came right with you as you moved into the future through the now. Now. All the information is here with you right now. All the information of all things is here with you right now. And that's all well and fine. We mentioned that you're a broadcaster and a receiver. And the matrix is hearing you. That's the other interesting thing. The matrix is hearing you. Did you know that? Did you know that you could not possibly be alone? No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you want to be alone, you are never alone. Actually, those who feel alone are usually the ones who don't want to be alone. Those who want to be alone never, ever feel alone. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I like to be alone. I don't always like to be alone. But I often like to be alone. I very much enjoy my alone time because I spend so much time just, putting everything together and understanding my universe and then going, wow, it's so cool. And by osmosis, by osmosis, I guess I'm gonna have to leave it at that. It kills me. I need to know this word. Oh, fiddle! I can't remember the word, and by the time I remember the word, I won't remember why I wanted it. We're cool too. We're cool too. Because this matrix is so cool, that's what makes us so cool. We have a particular design that is interesting. And if we would learn to operate our machinery the way we are meant to operate our machinery, we would be highly successful on planet Earth. In our human endeavors, we would be highly successful if we would use our equipment correctly. So, as I was saying, there's two of you inside of the body that you inhabit. And actually, one of them isn't really inside of your body, but you have access to her information from your body, and her information for you is relevant, highly relevant to the point on the grid that you are. That's. Did that say anything, or did that sound nonsensical? Anyway, there's two of you in there. And one of you is the you that you know. The you that you know of. It's the one you call you. The one you usually say, I am. And that's the one you're referring to. But you may not realize that you don't have another one. You are another one. And that other one that you are has ideas of her own. But they're attached to what the things that she is in charge of everything you care about. She's looking at all the things you love, at everything that has meaning to you. That's what she's in charge of, and you're just in charge of everything. And whenever you tag into something and start thinking about something that she's interested to, because she's looking at what you're looking at, she's only looking at what you care about. And what are you looking at? Are you looking at what you care about? Or are you looking into your neighbors because you're worried that one of them's a pedophile, and you're all gobbed up in your fear, and you're all lashing out in your smallness, and you're all judgy about what you think is going on in the world? Is that where your focus is? Or are you actually focusing in a clean, pure, clear way on the things you care about, on what you love, on literally your love? Are you looking at your love, or are you looking at your fear? Very interesting question, because your inner being is only looking at your love. Only looking at your love. Only cares about what you care about. Only cares about what you love. Only cares about information as it flows from the past to the present that you care about. It only cares about it's only looking at your desire itself. But it sees all of the materiality around you. Of course she does. She can see it without even looking, because she's attached vibrationally to the whole thing, and all the vibrations are handing their information up through this holographic nature of the universe. So you can know that your inner being is in touch with all things real. So she's spirit, but she's absolutely grounded in the physical nature of the universe, of where everything really is, where the ducks are swimming, where the robins are nesting, where the eagles are flying, where the wind is blowing and the blood is flowing and through your veins or she knows everything, because all of the physical points are uploading their information through this holographic nature of the grid, of the matrix. So isn't that interesting? And our understanding of that as humanity is going to free us. Absolutely free us. Free us from this paradigm of scarcity we have been chained to for the last century. This paradigm of war and disconnection with ourselves that we have been involved in for centuries. This is all going to free us, and we are going to go back to re-gardening Eden. We are going to rebuild planet Earth. We are going to turn sixth mass extinction is going to turn around. It's going to turn around, and we're going to start hearing news where how many more new species have been popping up. Where the hell are they coming from? as the planet repopulates, as we repopulate our biosphere. We can do that. We can do that. All it's going to take is us understanding who we are, on the one hand, using our overview to help us find our way, both individually and collectively. What's going to happen is it's going to happen individual by individual by individual by individual. Do you know what this really is? Do you know what's happening? It is the second coming of Christ. Because the second coming of Christ is not a celebrity event. It's not the second coming of Jesus Christ. It's the second coming, the second iteration, the second wave of humanity realizing our Christ nature and then trying to connect with one another through this. That's what that early Christian movement was about. You know, they lived in this really harsh world. Their political landscape was freaking Roman domination across the planet. You know, it was, and then Gothic darkness and, you know, backwards, superstitious, you know, whatever, tentative holds of certain places had the truth, but it was deeply hidden at the center of the temple, you know. And Christ came and spoke to people about, you know, the power of love and the power of connection and the power of the Spirit and the power of God and all that kind of stuff. And everybody, you know, glommed onto that for a minute because they could feel its truth. But then they focused on the event, that the man, instead of the Spirit. They forgot to focus on the big truth that he was trying to say about, you know, you don't need to be afraid of the Romans because you have connection to this thing that's greater than that. But the consciousness just wasn't there, and the powers that be were able to stomp that. Actually, what happened to the Christian movement, and it sort of distorted it and kept it that way for, you know, the last 1800 years since they did this. The Roman Empire just absorbed it. And then that pretty much was the end of the pure Christian movement. Now it's happening again. It's happening again, only this time the consciousness is there. This time the consciousness is there to meet it. And we have the internet, which is like the rudimentary, it's the beginning of the nervous system of the great being, humanity with a capital H, or mankind with a capital M. Different teachers are calling it different things, but the Spirit is the same thing. It's this spirit, this morphogenetic field of the spirit of humanity, which we are all part of. We are all one with. And this being has physical systems, just like our cells have physical systems, and just like our physical body has physical systems. Our greater body, our greater being, has physical systems too, circulatory systems and respiratory. Well, the circulatory system of mankind is the supply chain. The supply chain, it's the goods and services that we all come up with, you know. I make a new handy dandy keychain, you know, with the emblazoned with the name of the town that I am in, and sell it to tourists or whatever. That's on the supply chain. I grow mushrooms and I package them and I sell them at the farmer's market, and that's part of the supply chain. Or I put them up on Etsy and I ship them to New Zealand or France or, you know, Hong Kong. Well, probably not to Hong Kong, but, you know, whatever. It's part of the human supply chain. Foodstuffs and technologies and all of the goods and services that all of humanity uses. Most of us are not capable of surviving alone any longer. Well, one of the reasons why that's happening is because of the way our energy system is. Because of our energy system, it makes it really hard. You have to capitalize in the first place in order to have access to energy to get started to do anything. So how does that work? So how am I going to capitalize in the first place without energy to help me capitalize? How do I do that? I have to get capital just to get the energy in order to work my shit in order to get capital. I'm already behind. The energy should just be a given. And you know what? It is. It is. The energy is just given. The energy is just there. It's the 0-point energy field. It's the matrix itself. And when we tap into that, now, if you watch, so I always have, I'll come back to this slide, but I have this links list. These are the links that are listed in my description of my video. It doesn't describe, the description of my video is not a description of my video, it's this links list. And it's the stuff that I refer to all the time. And so this Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. That's the movie that talks about over Unity devices. And if you believe them, and I believe them, now are they 100% correct about all things? Well, nobody is, so they probably aren't. But is there plenty of stuff there that I do believe is worth looking at and considering? And I don't think it's stuff that you can subtract. What's the word? En masse is what I want to say, but that's not the word. It's sort of like kit can and caboodle. Can you summarily dismiss it? No, you can't. And if you believe them, somebody did come up with a solid state device that tagged directly into source energy. That it's a small component that you could add to any technology. So it could be in the lamp itself. That little device is in the lamp. So when you turn on the lamp, it just immediately tags you right into source energy. And there you go, the lamp works. You don't have to plug it into the wall. You just turn it on and it works. Your car would work that way. Everything. You'd be able to just do everything that way. And just imagine how that would change the world. There are billions of people on the planet right now who have no access to any energy. They would all have immediate access to energy because it's everywhere. You don't have to have a power plant. You don't have to have a grid. You don't have to put wires through your walls and wires connecting to your house. We don't have to do that. Now, I know that there are people right now working to put fiber optics for communications and for transmission of, actually, I don't know, I think energy, all kinds of things are being put underground. But we don't have to have that either. Now, underground's better than overhead for sure, but we don't have to have any of that. We could plug directly into source energy. And since they have artificially, I need to get off of this. I need to get off of this list. Let me just finish the list and get back to the Mushroom Boy. So that's the first thing I've got here, Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It's the history of 100 years of the truth about our energy situation being kept from us. And things are going to change when more of us collectively understand this. We're just going to know that we have other choices, that we've been lied to. The fossil fuel industry is lying to us. And largely our government is lying to us too, because they're in bed with the fossil fuel industry. All of them are all in bed with each other. And the reason is because it's like one effing billionaire that owns the whole damn thing. That is an exaggeration. There's just a handful of billionaires that own everything. And so, you know, of course, it makes so much sense. Anyway, let's see what else I have up here. The Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity. That's the video that describes the paper that Nassim published last September on how matter is coming into being, which is basically telling, mathematically, how is the universe manifesting matter? How is it doing that? And as it does that, it's as matter comes across the event horizon of the 0-point energy field, it is spinning. And that's what gravity is. And our better understanding of all of that, I think it's this one. Baked into the cake is that spin. It's fundamental. Our understanding of that is going to get us off the surface of the planet. What I want for humanity is oh my gosh, what do I want? And I just have to stay focused on what I want. I can't be concerned about how what we've got isn't that. I just got to keep focusing on what I want. I want us to get off fossil fuels. I want humanity to have a true star drive. I want to repair all of the scarcity on the planet and replace it with the abundance that is meant for it to be. I want us to know who we really are and find our future where we're really headed. Let's go back to my links list because I hadn't finished. Then we have, let's see, Quantum Revolution. That's the first episode. This is the YouTube version of the first episode of a 12-part series over on Gaia, where Nassim describes the universe as he has mathematically connected it. Back in 2012, what the structure of the universe actually is. It's spinning space-time. It's holographic in nature. It is full, not empty. It is black holes all the way up and all the way down. It's conscious. It's all one thing. It's a data flow of scaling information, or a scaling flow of data and information, however you want to say that. From small to large, it's nested universes, large and small. It's scales of, it's really cool. The matrix that we abide in is really cool. And we are really cool. Our design is cool. Somebody actually designed us. And they kind of co-designed us with the God that's been designing us for eternity, because we're all part of that too, right? But we were designed, I believe, and let's keep going with this though. The Connected Universe, that was a movie narrated by Patrick Stewart. It was made back in 2016, and it was the first attempt. It's all about Nassim and his work and how he connected the quantum and cosmological universes and what that implies to you about who we are and what's going on. Then Living in the Future's Past, that's a movie made by, I don't know who made it, but it's narrated by Jeff Bridges. And it's really interesting, and you get a sense of us as a super organism. We are a super organism. We are not just ourselves. Each one of us is a cell in a bigger body that we all need to start, interacting with less competitively, because we're all in this together. And actually the system is designed to give everyone what they particularly want. if they would focus on what they want and what they love instead of focusing all the time on what they don't want. You can see what you don't want, but you shouldn't focus there. Don't focus there. And then the last thing is just, it's actually not a YouTube video, it's the paper. Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity paper. It's this paper right here. Was published last September. I think there's the full abstract. There's the... So what do I mean when I say I think we were genetically modified? We were created. Did I say we were genetically modified? All right. So our neocortex is our overview mind. And we're talking about our physical mind, you know, not your source mind. I'm talking about your physical mind. And the neocortex operates sort of like an overview to the other two minds, the lizard brain and the mammalian brain, all of those functions. Your neocortex is sort of like your overview mind. And a large part of this neocortex comes from human chromosome number 2, which is fused. It's two other chromosomes fused together, telomere to telomere with redundancies on both sides of it, clipped away. And the result is the human neocortex. This is the full abstract. This comes from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. This is just this obscure little article published back in 1991 where these geneticists, they did this study on human chromosome number 2, and in the whole article, they lay out the structure and the sequencing of you know, on both sides of what they say is a fusion. And look at what they say in the full abstract. This is their conclusion. We conclude that this is the relic of an ancient telomere to telomere fusion and marks the point at which two ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. It's like you're looking at the missing link. The missing link isn't going to be found in the bones. It's found in our genetics. This is, and they're ancient indeed, because this happened, this would have happened at the time that anatomically modern humans appeared on planet Earth. A couple 100,000 years ago, give or take, you know, some tens of thousands of years, perhaps. I don't know. It's ancient. This is who we are. And somebody made us that way. And it's interesting because of all the things that implies about extraterrestrials, about our heritage, about our ancestry, you know, the fact that our genetics, when you look at our genetics, we do indeed appear to have come from planet Earth. You know, so what is this alien tie that we have? Well, it's in our genetics. Somebody tweaked us. And they gave us our overview mind. And they made us special and interesting and different. But now we've got to understand who we are, because if we just operate on the default mechanism, it turns out that the human being, if their psyche is traumatized in any way, and I'll tell you what, it's pretty easy to traumatize the human psyche. Teeny things can deeply traumatize you. You can have, you know, an innocuous, semi-innocuous event happen when you're young, and if your mind focuses there and swirls it enough, you can walk away from that deeply scarred, even though it was just a relatively minor thing. I think it's really important that human beings understand their nature and learn to consciously reach for the positive, because if you're operating in a negative, you are not being yourself. You're crossing your energy stream. You're creating a shadow self. You're bringing demonic energy into the world. You're creating Shiva energy. You're blah, 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 blah. There's all kinds of ways you can talk about this. You're backwards to what you really want. You're facing the opposite direction. There's all kinds of ways to say it. But human beings are not designed to think and spin out thoughts from a negative position. They're just not designed to do that. And when they do, they get backwards to their own equipment and they start being very destructive creatures. And that's why I think it's really important to understand who we are. That's a really big part of our task on planet Earth. To know ourselves. Know thyself. So anyway, I haven't shown this picture in a long time. This is the one that I show to illustrate your two selves. You've got two selves. And now I'm going to go back to my other picture because I don't really want to be stuck on these really boring slides. This is such a boring slide, and I have beautiful other slides. This one I call Mushroom House Moon. I was on this one. This one is Mushroom Running Boy. I've got a whole mushroom series. Aren't they beautiful? But then I have these other slides too, you know, that that illustrate all my points. I got my aperture picture showing source mind and physical mind, and then I've got all the slides showing all the cutaways from Nassim's paper, and then the ones that I have our emotional guidance scale. I have that one. I have my chameleon eyes and my air quotes and my cymatic patterns and all of these things. I want to try to get away from them because I should be able to say these things without slides. Abraham does. Abraham speaks of these things without slides. But Abraham also does not talk about the material as much as I do, because I do have an agenda. I am speaking to you from a human being's perspective. I am not coming to you utterly from, a cadre of non-physical, non-resistant intelligences. I am coming to you from a human being vehicle. And I, as a human being, have an agenda. I want to see my people survive. Because my people involves my grandchildren, and my children, and my friends, and my neighbors, and my cousins, and my sisters, and my brother, and, all of it includes all of us. We're all in this together. So where does all of this leave us? It's a good question. There's so much sitting on the table in front of me that we've been talking about. It's hard to know what to pick up and what to keep talking about. What would be great is if, rather than having a guest that sits in my studio or calls in remotely and we talk back and forth, if I had a format where I could riffity riff, up until about this point, and then right about the point where I start to lose steam and I'm not really sure who wants to hear what, or what I forgot to illuminate, or what topic someone is more interested in, if I could allow for a call and a question, or if not a call, a written question. And then maybe what I'd like to see in the future is, I think my comments are set up. I think people can put a comment if they want, and a comment that they could put in the comment thing could be a question. And when I read that question, then I sleep on it or whatever. And then when I come into the space the next morning and start riffing in my who am I kind of way, I can pick that question up. Because I would like to have more input. I have my own questions. But I'm sitting here all by myself, wanting to connect with my greater world. Now, some of the things that I'm talking about, I mean, it's moving. They are moving already in the world. I didn't come up with this mathematics. Nassim Haramein and his International Space Federation and the Resonance Science Foundation and all of the projects and all of the things that he's working on and all of the people that are working on it with him and the papers and the videos, and he does retreats. You know, they do they go to sacred places in the world, and they talk about stuff just like the other gurus of the New Age community. It's not New Age. New Age is almost identifies an 80s kind of view to the future. It's not truly New Age anymore, any more than modern. Modern, people think it means contemporary, and maybe one meaning of the word is, but modern actually refers to a style from the mid-last century. Mid-century modern. There's a particular kind of word that means. So anyway, I don't have a question in the room. What I find when I talk to most people is most people do not have the capability of staying non-resistant. They can't just stay in a place where the absolute assumption is things like things are always working out for us. Whatever any snapshot looks like, the whole thing is moving in the direction of things are always working out for us. They really are. In any given moment, where you are is optimal to what's in, and the only thing that slows that down is us. We slow that down when we don't allow things to play out the way they're trying to, and we get all frightened and resistant, and we expect things to come one way, and when they don't come that way, we assume they're not coming. We get frightened, we get tense, we start acting from our negative self, and our negative self is actually the problem. The negative self is the evil one. But the negative self is not actually you. A Course in Miracles tells us this, and they're absolutely right. Only the love is real. The rest of it's there, but it's not real. The stuff that is not love is not real. And if you could learn to focus on the love, you can see the stuff that's not love in your peripheral vision. You can see it, but you got to focus on the love. And then you see how it's everywhere when you start focusing on it. So I'm probably going to close this recording off in about 15 minutes. I've been having a good time this morning. I hope that if you're listening, I hope that it has been enjoyable for you. I hope that you found something in it. I've struck a note somewhere that seems interesting to you. I have lots and lots and lots of hope for humanity. I absolutely do. I can see our way forward. I'm pretty sure that everybody's inner beings can see this too, and has their eyes fixed very focusedly on this beautiful, bright future that is unfolding in front of us. But what's going to bring us to the place we want to be, a world without war, a world of abundance, a world without poverty, a world of joyful interaction and co-creation amongst human beings as we play together and dance together and sing together. All of the things that human beings do so beautifully. What's going to do this, what's going to create this magnificent, miraculous change is, well, when you have the energy influx that's going to happen from our new understanding of literal energy, we won't be in competition with each other the same way. Right now, it feels like everyone has to compete with one another for very scarce goods. And this currency that buys your ticket onto the human supply chain so that you can have delicious food and comfortable technologies. You can control your individual climate, and you can connect to the rest of the world, and you can travel around the world the way you want to, and you can fill your belly instead of being hungry, and you can have shelter. You can build yourself a shelter that may withstand the local storms and such. All of that is what every human being wants in some form, shape, or another. This new influx of energy to the system is going to give everyone, it's going to put us all on an even footing. Remember, I said that there's billions of human beings around the planet who don't have access to any form of outside energy at all, and they can't plug their devices into anything. They don't have power. There's billions of people living like that, and they have to do things like burn their local scrub to cook their food. And so they're making the deserts grow. Well, we don't want that sort of thing to continue, and actually it's not going to continue when everyone has their own energy source. All human beings everywhere are going to be able to do a couple things right away that they don't have to pay anybody to. They're just going to be able to do it. They're going to be able to grow their own food, control their own climate, their own personal environment. They're going to be connected through information to the rest of the body, because if you have clean, free energy, then all of a sudden, what's stopping you from, well, it's just going to change the game. It's going to change the game, and all of a sudden, everybody doesn't have to be pitted against one another. It's squabbling over the limited resources that we've got going on. Instead, people, if they don't want to have any, they can do that if they want to, and there will still be an arena, because there's still optimal goods and services that people are out there trading, the best strawberries, or the best yachts, or the best phones, or whatever. But it doesn't have to be, we ought to have rules too. We ought to have rules of obsolescence. Planned obsolescence ought to have some sort of penalty. Anybody who's planning the obsolescence of their product so that they can resell it to somebody next year and the next year or whatever, Apple, ought to be prosecuted for crimes against the planet. But their sentence ought to be some sort of catch and release kind of thing, where you sentence them to some sort of rehabilitation program, where you put them through a program where they come to understand that we all are one. We are all in this together, and this is how your equipment works. And if you want to get in this life what you want out of it, follow your freaking inner being, and this is who she is, and this is what she knows, And it's all about spirits and all of that kind of stuff. Teach them all of that. Put them through some kind of a course. And then release them back into the world with an admonition to play nice with the rest of the field. Wouldn't it be great if we lived in a world like that? Instead of the world where we think that there are good people and there are bad people. And bad people need to suffer for the suffering that they have inflicted on the rest of the world. And you know what? That only just keeps the world suffering. At some point, you've got to understand that we are one body. And we've got to be kinder to ourselves and each other. We've got to be bigger and fuller and more understanding of what this situation is that we really find ourselves in. And how do we get from where we are to where we want to be? How do you do that? What are the primary assumptions involved and the object of the exercise and all these kinds of things? How does it all add up? Addition consciousness. What's the difference between addition and subtraction consciousness? We'll talk about that at some point. Divine autonomy. What is this power, this divine autonomy that you have? Well, so you are your two selves. They are both spinning discs of attraction. Your source self is pure positive, cannot be negative. There's no such thing as negative over on your pure positive vibration side. Your source side just is with a capital I, and it's positive, positive, positive. And so that's who you really are. Now you in your small mind, you have a chance to choose whatever thought you want to take. And what was the question? How do you get from where you are to where you want to be? I don't remember exactly how I was asking that question. It's too bad, too, because I know how to answer these questions because it's abstract. It's abstract and it's mathematical and it's... at some point, it does play into your physical life, and then it gets really personal. It's true. But at some point, it's quite abstract, and it's all about spirits. It's all about the energies that you bring to the situation and which direction your being of light is pointed. Oh, I was talking about divine autonomy. And if you get into the center of your smaller self and line it up with the center of your larger self and stay positive and don't ever venture out from that but build the momentum from that position, you are safe. You are safe, you are free, you are happy, you are love, and you might have some things that strike you in your immediate physical world that you'll go, oh, I don't prefer that. But you're so deeply in your positive state that positive things just come to you, and you don't have to worry about the fact that the pedophile lives next door to you, because he will never be able to touch your children, because you've got them too busy excited and wrapped up in some other glorious thing that y'all are having so much fun with that the pedophiles of this world can't ever get to them. It's that kind of magical safety. In a way, you aren't really safe, but that energy field is holding you in a place of safety. That's kind of what the divine autonomy idea is all about. This you have the ability to line up with your pure positive energy self and just be who you are and know what you know, and be safe in this world. You are safe in this world, by the way, no matter what happens. No matter what happens, you are safe. Even if you die, you are safe. Death is safe. I think Ram Dass says that one. Death is safe. It is. It is. It's all fine. We don't go anywhere when we die. We're still here. You close your eyes in death. You commit suicide in that dramatic, dramatic way. I'm leaving this horrible world and I will no longer exist. And and then you open up your eyes. Your mind's eye stays open, and you're still here. You're still here. Everyone and everything is still here. We're all in this together. We never go away. We're all here. When you die, I think you're going to still be here. So when I pass away, I want my children to expect that I am still here. I am still here. And so look for me, because somewhere I am giving you a message. Somewhere I am absolutely doing that. So here in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to have to take a pause. I may be ultimately mostly finished, although I may take a couple more minutes to wind up. Oh, it is 6 o'clock. I have to make a call. So I'm back. I just gave my husband a bagel and a glass of Ovaltine and sent him off to play a round of golf. So my head is a little bit out of where we were. I may just wind this up for the day. I have had a good run at it. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, do the best you can. We're all in this together. You can't get it wrong because you never get it done. What more platitudes can I... That's one that Abraham says a lot, and it's not really a platitude. It's correct. You don't ever get it wrong because it's a work in progress. If you and the what we do is just get clearer and clearer about what we really want. So, at the risk of trailing off into insignificance, I'm just gonna call it a day, and I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you will be too. I love you. God bless you, and may the source be with you.